Alright, making another little video on this turd here, wrapped in duct tape. We got some snow. I took it out in it. Well, we had some snow before and I took it out in it and it did fine. It was great and fun, actually. And then we got some more snow sometime later. And it was mostly just ice. Well, this thing goes in the snow like this now, which is like snow that feels sticky. This thing goes in that kind of snow just fine. But it doesn't go on ice, and I was just having to burn rubber and try, and I had to be out picking up cat food, so I had not much choice over the matter. But on the way back, maybe about 100 yards, 200 yards or so from where I live, the wiring harness part, that's an XT90 connector, by the way. Yeah. So basically this wire, I haven't dissected it yet, but it looks like it's just this wire isn't up to the task. Because nothing happened on the battery side. I thought it did at the time, but it turns out it was on this side of the connection. And from the way it feels through here, I'll know when I unwrap it. It's fine all the way down to where it's connected, which is about right here. So it's happened just past. Yep. So I'm going to swap out this wire, plus also try to shorten it a good bit as well. Hopefully this side of this, like I'm thinking, is still good. If not, then I'll have to buy a new bit for here, or just try and, take it apart. And I don't want to do all that because that makes it even worse. But yeah, I mean, this thing was doing great for that day that it did this, but eventually it just couldn't handle it and lost all continuity and, overheating it enough. This type of insulation on this wire, I think I did buy the wrong wire, honestly. This is from a roll I had a few years ago, not even for this stuff. I got it for just running 12 volt stuff for like single solar panel, 100 watt solar panel stuff. I think it's actually speaker wire or something for cars. So I could have, it's called Electro fried rigging because I'm from Eastern Kentucky and that's what I do. I just make do with what I got. Yeah, there's some of the fibers. But I'll get around to that here soon, probably tomorrow. But it's not a big deal. It was at the time. It had me worried that the battery, because if the battery goes, I'm fucked. I'm dead in the water. I thought it went, but it didn't, luckily. But since it's so hard because that's a hub motor, direct drive, so the only way to have decent torque is just pour amperage through it. Pour all the power into it all at once, and then that happens. So, to solve this problem, since I'm so scared of blowing my battery, and I don't want that to happen again, I'm going to go ahead and do the thing I was talking about. I'm going to put that geared axle that was for the front end of the new project, and I'm going to put it on the back end of this and lock it so it don't steer. And then next month I'll be able to put better wheels on it, but for this month I'll show you what I'm going to do now. So, yeah, one moment. Alright. So that's the thing. I took it back outside, and I've already finished shoring up all the welds, making sure all the structural stuff is structural, and actually I've already did a version of the brace, because it's going to be going this way and not that way now, so all the force is going to be pushing back, and I reckon the steering rack and stuff is what was supposed to hold it to begin with, to keep it from doing everything. So as long as my welds hold, and I made a little, because it, that's my steering stop that I made, and then this is just a little 1-inch solid chunk of metal, beefily welded in there, and same over here. I don't have the proper tools to do an alignment on this turd, but I used a board, and I tried some tape measure, and I did what I could, but at some point I just had to say, fuck it, it's good enough, and start welding stuff solid. So I had to take the wheels, the lawnmower's way over yonder. I had to take the front wheels off it because I don't have the money to put wheels that fit these hubs or splines or anything right now, not till next month. So the front wheels off the lawnmower, since they're janky and, you know, they were actually perfectly fine, but like, they're old and used, and the ones that are on the back of the scooter now are brand new, and I'd rather not modify them. So I took the hub and everything out of and all the core pieces out of the wheel, and I modified one of the hubs that go onto that, and I've got the spline bit in there, and it fits so centered and perfectly. I got lucky on that part. Otherwise, I would have had to weld around and then put this in the drill or something and try to... Yeah, it would have been annoying. But I haven't got it welded in yet. I've already got it figured out. That's about how far it's going to stick out, so I can weld nice. I got to clean it up and everything, get all this grease off. But yeah, and then it sticks out a good bit on the other side. Basically, the rim is the hub now because it's I'm making do. So yeah, and I've already figured out that's about as much as I can get away with. And still bolted on, and just barely, I think right about where the tip of my thumb is where the lower corner there wants to come close to, but it just barely didn't skid. So it'll probably end up, something will warp or manipulate or flex and touch. It'll be a wear item unless it wears too much and blows the fucking rim. We'll see. But I'm doing what I can. Quite satisfied with it though, with that design, because I could have just fucking modified the hub and stuck it up to it and welded it, or drilled holes through this and bolted it or something. This was the harder way, getting rid of enough of this that stuck out, same as what was on the other side, and then modifying that hub. There was two separate collars, a brake flange and the hub flange for the actual rim. Had to get rid of those. And then, yeah, sink it in there. And also the grease nipple fitting that was built into the hub on this side. I had to take a Dremel down inside there and get rid of that. The grease nipple's still there. I should probably get rid of that too I mean, it's not like this thing's going to go fast enough for balancing to matter. But, yeah. It's very greasy, which that's because that's the type of wheel this used to be. Just rolls on bushings for a lawnmower. But now it's going to be on splines. And, yeah. So I'm almost there. I don't have that in welded solid yet. Just those, the two, the round and the square piece there that are parallel. I don't have those welded solid with these triangulated pieces. Everything on this end is welded solid and shored up and done. Because I don't know, I might have to undo that bit to change how I'm putting it on the back of the scooter. So that part I haven't got around to figuring out yet till I get done making sure I have wheels for it first off. And then I can decide how I'm going to mount it. So I'm about to work on the second wheel here. Got to Dremel all that, well, not Dremel. I actually can just barely, if I hold my angle grinder straight up and down and hold real still, hurts a lot, and just kind of like machining, just gently go around and do. It takes a minute, but you got to watch out for this. I do have spare valve stems. I thought these were tubed, but luckily they're not. I don't have spare tubes, but I do have valve stems that'll fit these, so if I do accidentally hit it, it's not the end of the world. But I didn't hit the other one, so I should be alright. I should, hopefully, fingers crossed. Get that down to that lowest weld point, the top of that, just like I did the other one. And then I've got to modify this hub. Pop out these bolts, get that brake flange off, get this rim flange off. These things were on there alright. Also, they were on there crooked. So, my janky method is also probably just as crooked and off-center as theirs from the factory. So this was like cocked a little bit sideways on the core of the hub. So yeah. So I'd say mine will be just as good as theirs. It'll be welded on both ends of the core here. It'll be welded there and over here on the rim. So far I've been doing grinding and whatnot with the tire on it. You know, taking my time, going slow. I don't know if overheating the air in there is gonna, you know, ruin it, blow it, whatever. But I figure it's snowy and cold out. As long as I go slow, it'll be fine. Just be careful. But yeah, that's what I'm doing today. Is I just finished. I'm taking a break now is why I'm doing this. I just finished getting those flanges off of that core. And then next I've got to go ahead and do that, and then those flanges. And yeah. If only I had a matching pair of back tires for the lawnmower, I'd probably just use it. But one tire doesn't hold air very well. It holds air. It was holding air for about a half a day, but now that it's cold and the rubber's more hard, it's not even going to seal up properly at all. It's just going to leak as soon as you inflate it. But yeah, that's that. That's supposed to be a 9-to-1 diff, so it should be easier on the battery. So should draw less amps to do the same task that I was asking of it before. So we'll see. That's the idea. That's why I'm gonna go ahead and do it. I've been toying with that idea for a minute, thinking about switching, and then I'll probably leave the hub motor on the front, not hooked up to the same controller or nothing, or hooked up to any controller. I'll probably make a thing out of, I've got a 3-phase rectifier that's high amperage, high voltage. It can handle it basically, it goes straight to DC. And I can rig up something that makes an electric braking system instead of a hydraulic, or alongside the hydraulic braking system, I don't know. We'll see about that. That's just more of an experiment than anything, but I'm not going to fool with taking that front wheel off there and putting a coasting wheel or anything on there. I mean, I've got an extra one or two here that are fine, somewhere in that pile. Yeah, I got a pile. And there's also smaller tires down inside those tires. I hoard things. As you can see, there's some stuff over there. The only reason that stuff's piled against that right now is just from this morning. I had to move some stuff around for a minute. I don't like keeping things up against that. But yeah, having that much gap, since there's that much gap on this side, I figure I can get that close and that's about it. And yeah, that's the core to the one that I dropped and cracked and then JB welded, and it was still leaking sometime later. So I was like, fuck it. So that was the aluminum diff cracked on this end. And so that motor is what's on the lawnmower right now. It's from the one I dropped and cracked. And also, that was like the first rendition of that frame, which was just a quick and dirty, get everything in place, figure it out. Similar to what I did here. And then I redid it like 2 or 3 times until I figured out a good design I wanted to keep. I never redid that one any because I just gave up on that. I was like, I just need to buy a new axle and then figure it out from there. But that'll happen whenever I come across some more money that's decent enough to do that with. So yeah, for now. And that's, people might wonder what kind of little welder I'm running in a little place like this. A little welder. You just got to be willing to use, it's not a waste if you have to. You got to be willing to burn through the welding wire, basically. These things, they get hot enough to do a lot of, like what I'm doing, even this thick stuff. But when you're trying to do thick stuff like this and you want to make sure it's going to hold, with a tiny welder, you've got to use more wire than you would just to get it hot. Unless you want to use a torch and all that, I mean, you still should just keep making passes. Use more wire than you normally would. And make sure it's blending. That pool is there's no hard, sharp edges to your pools. Make sure it's like smooth on its own, blending into both parts of the metal. And, you know, that's about it. But, other than that, you know, cheap, crappy tools will work if you make do. I'm tired of making do these days, though. That's all. I'll get back with you when I got some more done. Alright, so I brought the scooter around back. And I've got most of that done. I've got the spline bits modified and put in there. And everything goes on enough to where I'll be able to still put the little cotter pin through on both sides. And it actually rolls smoothly, a lot better than I thought it would. Like I thought there's some resistance because of the gearbox, but less than I thought. I thought this would just drag the wheels, but no, it rolls. Still a good bit of resistance though, which is, you know, it's a gearbox. I'm wanting this for the gearbox. But I'm probably gonna end up cutting some of this front half off. I haven't figured out how I'm mounting it yet. I gotta take the wheels off, and I'm gonna try and bolt it on as best I can, using the original axle and maybe another couple of points somewhere. But this is just to, I keep having to make do because shit sucks. But you know, someday I'll have more money and won't have to make junky things. I can just buy things that are already good. But for now, I got that subframe built. Actually, now that I've got it made, I can look and see about the alignment a little better. It's close enough. I don't see it being too off. I'll have to measure it some, but... And also, I welded those hubs in, so regardless, it's probably going to have some wobble, but at the speeds this is going to go, and with the terrain I'm riding on this winter, you'd never notice. So it'll be fine. Now, it needs bigger wheels. I didn't design this frame for this small a wheel. See how close the ground clearance is? So, but I don't have any money to get bigger wheels, so this just barely fits on there without rubbing the spindle pieces, or whatever they're called. No room for even brakes in there, which is good that I already have front brakes and stuff, so. But yeah, that's that, and I'll come back with another update once I get it attached. So, that's all.